Welcome to the Vision Profiles podcast. Join us, dedicated Vision Profile users, as we dive into everything from hardware and software to apps and the latest updates in Apple Vision Pro. I'm Marty Gensius, a faculty member at a Midwest University, podcaster, and an Apple product fan.
And I'm Eric Bolden. I work with IT, but my interest is in finding interesting ways to share content, currently photography of plants and birds and panoramic sequences.
And I'm Dave Ginsburg, the host of the In Touch with iOS podcast. I'm passionate about technology, especially Apple, and use it in a real-world experience as a 27-year IT professional and iPhone subject matter expert. I learn new things about the Vision Pro every day.
Well, guys, it's like Christmas time.
For you.
I don't think there's been as much excitement about spatial computing since the device first came out. But now we have I never considered Meta a bit of a contender. I mean, it was a gaming device. But now we have a mid-range device, mid-price device that is out on the market. We'll talk about that more later. That came out at the same time, essentially a day apart from when the M5 came out. And we have a Apple, I'm trying to get the nomenclature right. It's not Apple Vision Pro 2, it's Apple Vision Pro M5. So, yeah, we've got that. It's got an M5 chip in it. And with that came a slew of accessories and a slew of stories and some comparisons. And we will kind of breeze through some of that to let you know what's going on with it. But we're going to just talk about the impact of the device and it coming out. Yes, the M5 came out. Generally, we talk about betas. I think Apple just kind of needed to sleep in late today because they had a busy couple of weeks, and there is no new beta out. It would be Vision OS 26.1 beta 5. So we didn't see that today. Maybe we'll see it tomorrow. Who knows? But the real news, I think, is about the M5. And this is an article in Call to Mac. It's still the ultimate entertainment device. And it's a good review, I think, of the M5 Vision Pro with information about it. Guys, just general reactions from you about the new device?
Go ahead,
Eric. If you have a device already, for most people, there is no need to update. If you don't have the device and you've been kind of sitting around trying to decide, there are enough improvements that it is worth getting it now. If you've been thinking about it, if you're still having a problem with price, get a used first gen. If for certain things like having lots of widgets placed on the wall and lots of windows open, the M5 I think makes a big difference. It helps a bit, speeds things up. If you don't get some of the lag delay, waiting for everything to finish updating. So it from my take on it is primarily it's how patient are you and are you willing to wait for stuff to finally show up? In which case, the M2 is just fine. If you're impatient, you want stuff now, and you're not willing to wait a couple extra seconds, then upgrade.
Well, was that a backhanded compliment to me or a backhanded insult to me? When you said, if you can't wait or you're impatient or you're like a little whiny boy, then go ahead and get the M5.
If the shoe fits.
Oh my gosh.
Dave, do you have more to
Yeah,
add?
yeah. I mean, just looking at the comparisons, especially between the M2 and the M5, uh, really, I mean, the biggest things you're getting is the processing speed. Yeah, and you're getting. I mean, I'm curious to know when you're going to give us a review. The weight says it's a little heavier, isn't it? Or is it about the same as the M2 as far as the weight goes? And then battery. I mean, you got uh, you have these went up a little bit in memory and storage. I mean, you still have the same memory, but you of course can get more storage. Uh, and of course, pricing is the same, so that you really aren't getting hit very hard on that. But yeah, I just can't. It's tough for me to justify it, and there's really a lot of subtle changes enough that I could think that I'd want to upgrade right now, especially looking at what the trade values are as we've discussed
Yeah.
off the show here. So but I just could be curious to hear your review and see what so far. I know you haven't had much time with it, but it'd be a good start.
Yeah. I guess a general question for both of you are: do you think that developers are going to optimize for the M5 chip now in the coming months? That we're going to see more things that the M5 can do that the M2 can't do as smoothly as the M5 could?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what does that mean, Eric? More Windows,
Um,
more.
yeah. Maybe slightly more, not having to kind of uh, not having to think ahead about what stuff you want to plaster up on your walls and around you.
Yeah.
Um, so I think you can be a little bit more lackadaisical about what you're watching, what you're doing. It will just deal with it.
In the chat room, Statler and Waldorf mentioned, "Is anyone getting one?" Yeah, and asked if I was. Yeah, I got one. I haven't had as much time to play with it as I'd like. I'll talk to you about
Yeah.
general impressions with that in a minute. And Larry L said leaning towards the 1 terabyte, but is that overkill? Guys, I'll leave that to you. Do you think 1 terabyte is overkill?
I mean, I've been fine with 256 on my M2. I mean, I don't know what was the difference in price, but $300-400, something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's quite a jump to get that for 1 terabyte, compared to getting it onto a Mac, when it isn't, they don't hit you too hard on that. Uh, so you really got to think, is it going to be something you're doing? Be a lot of storage of videos and such. I mean, I think 256 is obviously a small piece. It's just like buying a Mac these days. You really shouldn't buy a 256. I think at the bare minimum, I would go with a 512.
12.
I mean, if
Yeah,
with my iPhone, I've been since I am on the upgrade program. I've been going with the 512 each year, only because it's only going to pay for a year, and then I'm happy I don't have to ever worry about running out of spaces. I'm never going to fill that up. So that's a difference with the Vision Pro, in my opinion. But I'm looking at the stuff. Just looking at the comparisons. Yeah, I mean, you don't have a lot. I mean, you've got a little more memory bandwidth than you do have the M2. Your battery life is, like I said, just not much. So yeah, you just have to decide if you are going to go with it. Go with what you can afford. Don't go crazy. 'Cause
yeah.
if you got money burning in your pocket and you want to go with the 1 terabyte, go for it. I mean, I've done that many times in the past with some Macs and sometimes regret it, but
Yeah, I would think it's kind of dependent on because I use it when I travel, when I'm on a plane, and so I want to have
right,
movies on there. But frankly, movies are about 2 to 3, 4 at the max gigabyte.
yeah,
So if you're not running a lot of you can do a 256. If you're planning on using it for capturing a lot of video, I think Eric can speak to that. Then, if you're going to use it as a primary device for capturing spatial video versus your phone, then you probably want a little bit larger space on it. I think 1 terabyte would be overkill. Frankly, by the time you filled up 1 terabyte, you'd want to get a new model anyways. That's the way I think of it is if I'm chasing the top end of my memory, then it's time for a new model. And that tells me the next time I need to bump it up to more memory. I think the standard's around 512, 256. I think a 256
too
is what
small.
I have on my. Yeah. So that would be our recommendation to Statler and Waldorf in the chat room.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any other points about this? Now, Gizmodo, the article that we have linked, called it the crown of dorks.
I didn't see that. That's great.
And I gotta wonder if they're referring to the dual knit band, because the dual knit band gives it a completely different look. Like
so
your,
what?
yeah, and like your makes it look like you're wearing a toque the whole time. And there was something that we had chased down in one of the articles. Here it is. AI jokers take Vision Pro's new headband to the wild extremes. And this is where
it was like
said,
what is that? Star Wars.
Well, yeah, it's more of a samurai sort of thing, I think. Samurai warrior dressed. And so they started doing a bunch of stuff with AI creations with it. There's another one where you have a chin strap
around the neck, the chin,
around the lower neck,
and the top and bottom head. Yeah, that's a little overkill.
That's a nice touch.
Lightsaber with a game controller.
Yeah, there's a samurai.
And what's with the big guy?
Yeah. So yeah, they were playing around with a lot of AI pictures. My favorite, which I can't find in here, is the 5 guys standing around completely, like at a party, completely covered in the knit, ribbing, and then at their feet is their dog, like completely covered in net ribbing. But it's not in this particular article, which was pretty funny.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I think that was a comment off the original article. I'd sent it to you in chat. If you need it, you can add it to the notes.
Yeah, okay, I will do that. Oh, here's another one. I'm going to go back to this for a minute. Where the guy is completely
the parka.
Up. Yeah, it's a parka. And then they have a car.
Oh, nice touch. Yeah.
A bunch of fun stuff. And I will
little too much time on their hands, honestly.
I will put that in the show notes and also put Eric's link in the show notes for it. But folks were having fun with it, with the new band and new upgrade. But Gizmodo called it the crown of dorks, and even so, they gave it a fairly good review. It certainly wasn't as bad as Marquise Brownlee was. He was just kind of cruel. But he gets to buy new cars every time he does one of those things. So it's all
and he gets to test them too. Don't fool you. Don't be fooled.
Yeah.
He's getting some free demos.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting. Now production on this has changed. The production is shifted to Vietnam, which means that's a difference for Apple's supply chain. I think it raises the concerns about tariffs with China, and this is a way to get around those tariffs the same way that some of the work in India gets around some of the huge China tariffs that are going on. So that's interesting. Just in
Although
the yeah.
the dual knit band that I ordered separately, that came from China.
Oh, okay. Did you get
So
yours, Eric?
yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I thought you had talked about
It is
how
so
comfortable.
comfortable.
I'm
It
still
is
waiting.
so nice.
It's not supposed to be here next week.
Yeah, so
Nice.
Yeah.
yeah, there it is.
I can't wait.
I haven't tried
so
using it as a chin strap though. I think there's a chance, maybe.
Yeah, Eric sort of looks like a catcher for the Toronto Blue Jays with that thing on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Dave, I know yours is delayed a couple of days. You should be getting it soon, I think.
As late as November 3rd.
Wow.
Said October 30th to November 3rd.
So
when it shows up, take a picture of the packaging, because I took mine apart and used it. I should have taken a picture. It's really elegant packaging.
Oh, okay.
Would Apple have it any other way?
No, but I was impressed. It was very nice.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about differences in performance. Dave, you're right on target. I mean, it's an M2 versus an M5 chip.
Mm-hmm.
But the impact of the M5, I haven't put my M2 on since the M5 arrived. So I'll have to go back and put the M2 on and notice it. But things are pretty perky with this, and things are pretty clear. I think it helps a little bit, that 10% of the vision. You mentioned a little bit of the extended battery life. My guess is that's because it's a more power efficient chip that we're working with it, so we gain a little bit of that. And so yeah, I the little I've played with it, I do notice a little bit of, and maybe it's new car smell, I don't know. And there's no difference between it and the old car, but yeah, Statler and Waldorf asked, is Safari snappier? Interestingly enough, Safari is not something I've opened up on it yet. I went to play with a few apps, and then, let me tell you, the setup is not, I didn't do it from a backup. I did a cold setup, as I always do with new devices. And if I have to put my password in and my email one more time using that slow ass interface, it brings back all the bad memories of starting with the M2 and all the original stuff. So I've got to find some quicker way of managing that and turning it over to all I generated, because it's asking for two-factor authentication on stuff. So when you think you're in, you're not in. So it's been slow getting things to get set up, but the overall speed and seems a little bit better and a little more quicker. We have a link to a Reddit video where they do a side-by-side boot up between an M2 and an M4 or an M5. And I think the M5 comes in at 24 seconds, and the M2 comes in at like 34 seconds. So there's about
that's just a killer.
Yeah, well, Dave, I've had 10 more quality seconds in my life added.
Okay.
So is the Persona faster to set up on the M5?
You know how much I like Personas. They're supposed to be faster. I have not set up my Persona yet. So yeah, I will do that probably next. Once I get a few apps on there that will allow me to play with it, then I'll go back and do more of the maintenance stuff.
Now, I noticed that there were some comments that said for people who hadn't rebuilt their M2 since way back, that completely blowing away your M2 and then rebuilding it from scratch would give you a snappier response.
I
There's
think that's true
evidently
for.
some cruft
It's true
left
for
over
Macs.
from the
Yeah,
upgrades.
yeah. I was going to say, Dave. Dave has said it. It's true for Macs too. It's always good to nuke and pave, and
Yeah.
that happened between version one, OS 1 and OS 2 for me.
Yeah.
It forced me to nuke and pave, and so I had to start
Mm-hmm.
all over. And I appreciated it because I only had 3 pages of apps to page through, and now on my M2, I probably have about 10 pages of apps. Statler and Waldorf asked me, what apps have you tried? One that we'll talk about tonight, Tubular Pro. I'm probably
Totally
pronouncing,
tubular is how you
yeah,
know.
Tubular Pro, which is basically a YouTube portal, and that one actually was a lot of fun. We'll talk about that more. I did not try the Sessions Bluegrass video and see if it was clearer. That's a good suggestion, Statler and Waldorf. I need to get to some apps that have streaming attached to it, like that Bluegrass video, and try and get that experience with it. So yeah, I'll work on it more over the week, and we'll have more for the next show. I'm setting up calendars and all and such like that, and trying to get that all set up so it can be kind of more of a workhorse too for me. Dual knit band. Eric, you got yours. Dave, you asked a question about, is it heavier? Is the M5 heavier? Well, it is with the dual knit band, but put it on your head and tighten it correctly in the back, which is the back strap that you tighten first, and then tighten down on the top, and it is so well balanced. I feel much. First of all, we've all tried every kind of alternative strap that is out there, and I think if you get the right size for your head, which when you go to purchase a strap, they have you do the whole on your iPhone check of the size. And once you get the right size on your head, and you're able to alter it and tighten it and loosen it, it it is such a good experience. Would you agree with that, Eric?
Oh yeah. It is by far the most comfortable option I have used so far. And I was a fan of the dual net, but the dual net was a pain to adjust because of the Velcro. You had to kind of rip your head off and put it back. The little just twist the dial or pull out and twist the dial to get the top or the back. And yeah, it's the feel is really nice. No pressure points, no other issue with it. It's easy to understand to adjust if you get a message. Oh, move it a little higher, a little lower. That all works. So yeah, I'm really happy. Evidently, other people are doing the same thing because it's really hard to get that band now.
Yeah, I know, because I figured I like this band so much. Let me go ahead and order one for my M2. And I'm not going to see that until December, sometime between December 4th and December 11th. So yeah, that's fine. I can live with that. It's not an issue. And we'll see if it shows up sooner than that. For me, I've got the ResMed one with the weights on it. And I saw an article that's like, yeah, that really looks kind of dorky now with the weights on it. But and I have the Belkin edition, and I have the AMA Pro, and I have the one that Dave and I just bought, the Hover.
Yeah.
And
which I still haven't tried yet.
Oh, well, try it, Dave. Just try it, just for the experience of setting it up. It's going to be challenging to figure out how to set it
Yeah.
up. They don't do a good job of explaining that. But once you try it, and then when you get your dual knit band, you'll like, okay, I can throw all these other ones away. Um,
Yeah.
it's a little heavier because it has tungsten ribbing in it. Have you tried to find the tungsten ribs in it, Eric? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can feel them in there in the high points of the knit. And
But it's
so
nice
that's
and
what
flexible, and you can
yeah,
still lean back on your head, and it's not uncomfortable.
yeah, yeah. So does it resolve the comfort complaints from the original, you think?
I would say it probably resolves like 99% of them. Um, you're still going to get a few people that have problems, but I think that's because the light shield might be wrong,
Hmm.
and it's not going to totally fix that. But um, yeah, it's um, and I can't remember who it is. We covered it a while back. There was an option for an attachment that goes across your forehead, a padded attachment, and then clips on the side. Um,
Yeah,
and if you combine that with the dual loop, you can you don't have to use the light shield. But
yeah.
personally,
I
I like the light shield because I need the light blocked
yeah, me too.
most of the time.
Yeah. When we talk about the Galaxy, I had a different experience with that. That was
Hmm.
interesting for me. It took me a while to figure out that I needed to drop a lot of stuff. So I think the only complaint, well, I think other complaint we might still hear from people is it's heavier. It's still heavy. It is
It-
a heavier device, but it's so well balanced now, I think, with the dual knit band that it's not, you're not fighting it all the
yeah,
time.
I don't think it feels heavier.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to go to the toy that I haven't quite figured out. Eric's been so nice sending us everything he can about the Muse Apple Vision Pro, because the Muse for the Apple Vision Pro, because I think he secretly wants to get one, but he wants us to figure it out first
First,
for him.
yep.
And this has been an enigma to me. I've tried it a couple of times to get it to work, and maybe you can explain a little bit about. And then we have an article in here about measuring with the Logitech Muse on the Apple Vision Pro, um, and then just a general connection to the uh, the site on Logitech that explains how to use or shows the Muse. My frustration with this is trying to find an app that it'll work with. And, when it came out, for God's sakes, Logitech, just do an app that I can play with for a while. Let the full developers come out with the fun stuff. Just give me something to show proof of concept that this actually works and it's not my finger that's dragging the colors because the software I'm using recognizes my finger, but it's actually that $130 device you sold me. So I am a little frustrated that it came out. I think they had to have it out for it to come along with the M5, but the apps are not ready yet for it. You suggested Freeform. Sure enough, I had Freeform on. I couldn't get it to work with Freeform. I'm not a guy who follows directions, so that could be it. You suggested Crayon. I put Crayon on. Found it a much more interesting of what I want to do with the pen. with the Muse pen, but still couldn't see that it was being driven by the pen instead of that. And there have been some other apps that have been suggested that generally, if you read the fine print, it's sort of coming soon. And
Yeah.
that's the frustration. And Dave is the smartest one of all of us because he hasn't taken it out of the box yet. Oh, you just took it out of the box.
Oh,
Man, I would have suggested maybe you send it back.
Well, I did. Oh yeah, I did buy through Apple. I could still send it back.
Yeah.
figure it'll be another week or two, and we'll start to see apps. When I looked on YouTube for examples of it working, there were like 2 or 3 people that put videos out and were showing, oh, and I drew this and drew this, and then you watch it and you look, and then there's a comment about, oh yeah, I just had to write this app to show that it could be done. So yeah, they were having the same problems finding an
Yeah.
app to use it with.
Boy, it looks like it can do some pretty amazing things. Um, I also tried to use it when I couldn't get it to work on whether it would work as a pointer,
Oh,
for
uh-huh.
typing, and I can't tell if it was the pen or my finger that was activating different sorts of, or it was my eyes looking at the object that actually activated it. So I'm still at a loss in terms of how this works. I hope it brings in more third party accessories. We were going to talk about an app tonight, a game tonight that's Pickle Pro. And when we first looked at it last week, it said you could use your hands. And I thought, okay, I can do a little pickleball with my hands against myself for a while. And now when I tried to load it tonight, it said you need to have some type of accessory, a spatial accessory. I guess they're talking about PS2 controllers to fit that, because that's about the only accessory I can think of to get it to run. So I think sort of a bad move to restrict us to having to get those accessories when most of them are not available. How would you use it, Eric, if you got one? Or would you?
I don't know yet. Some of the measurement stuff, if I can get it more precise, being able to actually touch a surface and draw from a point on a window or a cabinet or something to another point, that kind of appeals to me, because that's one of the things, the measure app, you can get kind of close, but it's not, especially if you can get to the spot, it's not quite enough. So more precise measuring, that appeals to me. Um, Kind of irregular shaped objects. I'm not really an artist, and that whole concept of drawing in a 3D space, even just trying to draw a cube, I can sort of manage that with a pen and paper. But anything that's more complicated, that's harder. But I have example models of what I want. So if I can take a pen and kind of map out the points, then yeah,
I
that's
think
good enough.
Dave is trying to figure out how to get his Muse to go. Hold down both buttons for 3 seconds and then it'll pair.
Try it on the iPhone. I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah. Eric, developer strap. That's the next thing.
Yeah.
What's your story with that at this point?
Man, I ordered it before I left on vacation. It showed up while I was on vacation. I came back, and then they announced the new one. And I think I'm like, I really should just go into the store and see if they'll let me return it. I'm like 3 or 4 days out of the window.
Yeah. So,
I don't think it matters for the current version of the Vision Pro. I think it really only matters for if you've got the M5, as far as
Right.
getting faster speeds to transfer data.
yeah, and transfer speeds up to 20 gigabytes per second when connected to a Mac, whereas the original version, the one that Eric received in the mail and didn't send back, limited to USB 2.0 speeds of 480 megabytes per second. And it's unclear if there are any other changes. So yeah, I would take it into the store and see if they're willing to
Yeah.
play with you on that.
I mean, it's the past 14 days though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you
Might
open
be
the
tough.
package?
Nope.
Oh,
Still sealed. Because I was getting ready to open it while I was reading, and it said, "Oh, there's a new one." And I thought, "Oh,
Yeah.
well."
Okay, now we're going to go down to that deep, dark path of Samsung Galaxy, the Galaxy XR. Yeah, so here's the story. The Galaxy XR was announced on a Monday night. Most of us were live streaming. No, it was announced on a Tuesday. Because most of us,
Mac Voices Live.
we were in Mac Voices Live, and it ended up, and many of us started watching the Samsung live presentation of the Samsung Galaxy XR. And I kind of went into it looking rather cynical, being very cynical about it. And the more I watched it, the more I thought, and they showed some things. It was sort of like, oh, goody, I can get Google Maps. What do you think? Or, they did this demo where it was like, I really feel like having a pizza on the other side of the bridge. Find me a good place to get a pizza. And they used Google Maps, and then they used something like Yelp to find a location for food. And I thought, okay, I'm not surprised by any of this. And then they started getting further into it, and I thought, this is a pretty cool device. And I think I had already heard the pricing on it. And I'm like, for this price, with these specs, pretty interesting. And so it was, you can order it today and have it by Friday. This is Tuesday night.
That just tells me how many people have bought it.
Yeah. And then if you add $6 onto an $1,800 device, you get to get it on Thursday. And then I'll get to that. I've got some stuff going on in the chat room. So it arrived on Thursday, and frankly, I had to learn this whole new interface. Very similar in some ways, but different, and kind of exciting too in terms of the way they use hand gestures and all sorts of things a little bit differently than what's with the Vision Pro. The clarity on it is really good. They're 4K in each eyeball. And the just the crispness of it is good. Now, I took it downstairs into my living room. My living room is kind of dark. I have lamps all over the place, and you turn it on, and you still have that grainy kind of pass through. But I think that's a function of the room and the lighting that I'm in that creates the graininess of it, because I get that graininess on my M2 or on my M5. So they didn't include and Statler and Waldorf mentioned in the chat room, they did not include chip, or they did not include controllers.
Controllers.
And I think I could have bought them, but I wasn't going to commit to controllers at that point. And now they're not even on the planet in terms of trying to order them, because I went in to try and order controllers, and I'm on a we'll email you when a new group comes in. And so, yeah, anyways, I have been impressed with the Galaxy. I have spent probably about the same amount of time with the Galaxy as I have spent with the M5. And I did get a message from Matt Fisher. Thank you, Matt. Marty, I sent you a test flight link on Threads for a simple Muse drawing app. It's really fun. So I will go through Threads and pull that up. Thank you, Matt, and get the test flight link and start to play with
If
it.
he doesn't mind sharing with me, or if you can share it, that would be great. I'd like to try it.
Yeah, if I can do that, Matt, it'll give Dave a reason to turn the thing on.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, and so yeah, I do. Going back to the Galaxy XR, it's that sweet spot between $3,600, $3,500, and $500 or $400 for that. It's right in the middle at $1,800, and frankly, there have been some ads that are side by side comparisons that we've seen sort of with graphics of it, and everything down to the chip, with the exception of the M5 versus what they're using with the Galaxy XR, is really pretty consistent from one to the other. So the processor is Snapdragon XR2 plus Gen 2 is what they're using on the Samsung Galaxy. And I'll go ahead and show this for folks that are watching on the YouTube stream. This comes up from a Mac Observer. We've seen these kind of charts. Before. Your refresh rate is up to 90 hertz on the Samsung Galaxy, 120 refresh rate. But now that's even come a question. We're seeing articles saying can't quite get 120 refresh when I think I need refresh for 120. Battery life a little longer, but with the M5 it's also a little longer. And the weight is, for me, a significant difference. Your 750 to 800 grams on the M5 to 545 on the Samsung Galaxy XR. Let me share with you a little bit about the weight piece. It is significantly lighter. However, it's a difference between having your skull wrapped in a elastic knit band versus having it wrapped in plastic, hard plastic. You go from one to the other, and you realize you're wearing a plastic helmet with the Galaxy XR. But it is a third lighter in weight, and it's noticeable that way. Similar with tracking, we don't have what do they call it? Eyesight, the googly eyes, the uncanny valley. We don't have that with the Galaxy.
So it doesn't let you move like the Vision Pro does with your eyes.
It does eye track. It's basically iris tracking.
Okay.
But you don't have the pass through, so we get to see your crazy googly eyes projected on an external screen.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay, that's what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. It has, Vision OS with Apple Intelligence versus Android versus and Gemini. Um, yeah, it's Samsung wins with the lighter hardware. However, it's set up so you have like if in some of the Meta, uh, you know, they have a band that's like a professional band, or where you wind up twisting it in the back and it cradles against the back of your head and it tightens it up. Complete ripoff
Mhm.
from what Meta was doing. The problem is it's not something you can lay your head on a pillow to lay
Hmm.
back and watch video with, because it's this big piece of plastic with a twisty knob on the back of it that sits there with it. So I think it's going to be for other than people under the bubble like us, or other than people who have already committed to the kind of the Apple ecosphere. Um, I think this is going to be. It's not the Vision Pro killer, but I think it really is quite impressive, and I think it's going to get that market that wants something more than a gaming device, and something that comes towards a productivity device, but not at the cost of what Apple's charging for it. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for me about it.
Is there an option to change straps with something else?
I
You know,
don't
like
see it.
Apple's, you could just okay.
I don't see it. It is built in. It does have what I think is pretty interesting. It has a side swipe, so you can run your finger across the side of it, and it will be another input device.
Hmm.
And that was similar to Google Glass, where they had along the
Ah,
frame, you could swipe along the side of the frame, and it would, move through pictures or do things like that. So it's not only hand device, or if you have some type of controller that you can work with it, but it also has this touch device along the side of one of the the head straps, which means you can't quite take it off because it is kind of built into the system to do that. Um, and yeah, so I wish in some ways you could, but that's not what it's like. I have to spend more time with it on my head, and spend some time trying to get some of the applications going and such with it. I'm going to check in with the chat room. Marty, if it makes a storefront that looks like Apple's and slap some Apple stickers on the Samsung box, will you buy it? Need your review. Throw in an M2 used on the chart. God, these guys have been going nuts.
oh, actually, that would be good. A comparison of the M5 and the M2.
And Craig Allenbach called, anybody want to buy my Google Glass? Craig, I have a Google Glass, and like most great Google devices, they start it and then they drop it. You can't even get an app. That was the interface for it. I got mine because I had some money left over on a grant and I had to spend it before July 1st. And it was money that I could spend on technology. And the guys in the IT department said, "Hey, how'd you like to get a Google Glass?" And I said, "What's that?" And they explained it to me. I said, "Yeah, go ahead, get it for me." And I played with it for a while, but I just cannot. I mean, now it's just defunct because you can't get an app to
Right.
control it with anymore. They just stopped supporting it. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, yeah. Larry talks about not liking the duck beak, the light seal that they have on the Galaxy or the Samsung headset. Yeah, I don't. I don't notice it. Frankly, not having seen any of the devices before, figuring out what to do with these soft rubbery things that go underneath your nose that attaches to magnetically to the seal was a little different for me to figure that out. There is also across the brow, they provide you with a thin and a wide piece that snaps in magnetically, and then in it, it has a pad on it. And it just felt, I went with the wide, and it felt weird. And then I took that out and I put the thin in, and it still didn't feel like I was getting what I needed out of the device. And then I realized I could take that whole piece out and just attach the soft pad in there, and it brought my eyes right up to the optics. And I was well aware of that. But it fit very comfortably. I didn't have to strain with my field of view. So that's what I'm going with. Still had the tunnel that I was around with the light seal, and as Larry refers to it, the duck beak. But I was my eyes are much closer to the lenses, and I got a much better effect by doing that. So I was a little thrown off because I'm used to having a wide pad or a thin pad. And it was like, no, you just take all that off. For me, I just took all that off and I got really up close. And that worked for me with the Galaxy XR. So I think I've said enough about that, too much about that
How,
already.
how well did the light seal block the light? Is it about the
Yeah, I
same
was
as the
curious.
Vision Pro? Because there were some
Yeah,
comments that the lower part of the light seal leaked, but I don't know if
that
that's
I
just
think
that
is
people.
because they don't have the right forehead pad on it.
Ah,
As I got closer and closer to the eyes, that duck beak took over and blocked a lot of the light out of it. So again, it's a
okay.
matter of having the right padding, right size padding, if anything, in the
Hmm.
device. Yeah, it felt kind of weird. It was like I just paid, this amount of money, and I can see my knees. If I look down, I can see my knees.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, maybe this is how it's supposed to work. And there are a lot of people
Hmm.
that don't use light seals, but why do I have it if it's not sealing off the light? And so I think it was a matter of picking the right piece, which was really none, and
Hmm.
using besides the pad, so I didn't have plastic tight against my head.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's a good. Thanks for that question and thanks for that observation. Let's talk about back orders and supplies. We already mentioned the dual knit band, and I just can't figure it out. Are the folks in sales not projecting sales right? Um, that they're so back ordered on the dual knit at this point that it's 6 weeks to 8 weeks out, and they don't have them in the stores. They don't have extras in the stores because I saw some chat about that. And how do they not think that if they're going to make it available for the M2, people aren't going to buy it?
You
Eric
can
or
still get the
Dave?
you can get the really expensive one, $3,500.
Yeah, that's the one I bought. Yeah,
So you still
unfortunately,
could get it, but
unfortunately, it didn't come with a dual knit band as the extra band. It just came with only one.
one.
Uh, Dave, do
Yeah,
you have any? Yeah,
I
go
I
ahead.
don't think I don't think they were expecting the M2 Vision Pro users to all order new bands, and in some cases order more than one new band. I think the uptake on that was really, really, really fast.
Yeah,
I figured, oh, they're thinking, yeah, a few people will order it, and then, maybe a couple of people will order one because they have more than one device. But yeah, the band makes such a huge difference. And the other thing is it's possible that they have to move their production. Maybe they
mm,
needed it not to be in China.
yeah. Dave, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's strange. I mean, maybe Apple didn't anticipate that this was going to sell really well because, I mean, they had to figure that there was not going to be a lot of people with M2s going to upgrade to M5s and want
Yeah.
this strap. Because I can't imagine when it's going to ship now. When I don't even look at the dates, I wouldn't be surprised it's out into December at this point.
Yeah, I did try to buy one like today, and it's December
You
4th through the 11th.
and you went through the whole face thing again to find out.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
Well, it
want to do
sounds like
that. That's
it sounds like Craig got the option to pick one up from a store. So maybe some stores still have a few
Wow, that is weird.
because
Craig, I see that.
delivery was still going to be December, but there was a local option.
Yeah,
So
I
it's worth
didn't
at
have
least
that
looking.
option, I don't think. Yeah. Now, Craig, you're going to send me to look at my order again. Uh, and I might go order a third one and kill the other one if I can pick it up at the store. But thanks, Craig. Keep them coming. Buying back your M2. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Not that I'm trying to see, not that I'm trying to raise your frustration with it, but you were on top of that right away.
yeah. Uh, I think this is absurd. What I know, Sell Your Mac is a good site. It was bought by OWC,
OWs.
Other World Computing. So I'm looking at their site now, and they have some decent stuff that you could sell, but um, I mean, it's absurd. Up to $1,000, really, of a 1-year-old device. I can understand a Mac. I mean, I have a MacBook Pro 16. I might want to sell, and I know what it's going to be because I've had it for 4 years. I'm probably close to 5. So, uh, but I just find it absurd how they and then you and I both went out to eBay and there's people selling it for $2,000+. I'm not expecting to get back the full 3,500. No way. I understand that, but for it to drop that dramatically and being an Apple product, to have at least a decent trade in, the problem is they can get away with it because Apple isn't offering any trade ins at this time. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people want to go through Apple, and that's what I had been doing for many years since I've bought Macs because it's easy. You go to an Apple store. I did it when I bought my Mac Minis. I had two old Mac Minis that I traded in, and it was an M1. I think I got $275 for it or something like that, but which was fine because I got the base model, and I thought that was fair. But I mean, not because Apple's not taking it in anymore, um, or is not offering to do trades. I think it's a kind of crappy, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I think that to trace this, Eric, I think, got the email from OWC, saw
Yeah.
that they could, and in the part of that ad said, "Oh, you could get up to uh, 1250." And up to means if it hasn't been boxed, it hasn't haven't been unboxed, it hasn't been touched by human hands.
Still pristine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still pristine. It's been sitting on your couch for the 18 months or 2 years that it's been out. And, so, when he sent that, I started to look at it because I was trying to get ready for the show tonight. And you guys saw this through the texting that we were doing today.
Mhm.
I went on the site and to see how much my M2 would go for. And I said, okay, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say it's in pristine condition. It's not in good. There are no. It's just in perfect condition. And I'm going to say it's 1 terabyte. And when I did that, they still only offered me $855. So I don't know where the 1250 went, because there's no other higher way there's no other better device I could offer them up to 1250. So that when I put in my actual device, they were going to give me like $560 or something like that for the device because it's in I have a little bit of a blemish on the outer lens. Doesn't affect any of the cameras, but it's there.
Hmm.
And they were going to give me, 560 for that. So it seemed like it was a bait and switch sort of thing. This is why, and I think I've said this to Dave before, this is why I kind of hate to use these sites and I don't use eBay,
Yeah.
because I'd rather just go through Apple and know what I'm getting when I'm there turning it in than sending it in and then you get an email from them saying, well, we found this little minor scratch here, so we're going to take a
Yeah.
couple hundred off what we originally offered you, or we can send
Right.
it back to you at your expense.
Yeah,
No takey backies, I guess.
I agree with that because each time, like the last time, I think I traded in an iPhone to T-Mobile to get the 16e I got, and I knew that it had a scratch on the lens. It was my sister-in-law's 13 Pro Max, and
Hmm.
they gave me the full value of it, and I got the 16e for next to nothing because I got a good credit on
Yeah.
that 13 Pro Max.
Hmm.
Whereas uh, where she sent it into Apple instead of going to the Apple store, and they rejected it. They said, "Well, lens is scratched. We can't give you anything for it."
Hmm.
So, who is this offer for?
What's that?
Who's the offer for? Hey, you've got a $3,500 device. We're willing to give you under 1,000 for it
Yeah,
now.
and I'd like to know what they once they get them in. Let's see what they sell them for.
Yeah,
About
that
double
was the other
probably.
thing I tried to do today was see if they had any that they were selling on the back end.
Yeah, it's too
And
early because not everybody's traded it in yet. Because I don't think anybody's going to bite on that. I think that'd be
yeah,
foolish.
yeah. Well, I kind of think there will be people who bite on it because of the if they even notice it,
Yeah.
because there are people who bought it, used it for a couple of months, and they haven't used it at all, and they're like, I might as well have 1,000 back.
Cut my losses, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so that's who I think it's. That's who I think it's. Uh, it's who it's for, really.
And the only other thing I could think of that might explain part of that is if in reconditioning it for resale, if they're replacing like the battery cable or replacing the light shield with a new one or something like that, that might affect it.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I'm not. Yeah.
yeah, what I did was the other thing was they wanted to know if you would include your charger when you go to try to sell it back. Can you include the charger and the cable? And I'm like, come on. I said yes, just to see if I could get it up to that magical 1250. I don't know if there's much reconditioning they can do on these devices, other than maybe some outside cosmetic stuff, and buying a new battery, but or a battery pack. So yeah, I just don't know what their market is for, other than people who are like, yeah, my son gave me one of these and thought I'd have a good time with it, and I haven't used it at all. So
Now, I do have to say that the used market still seems to be pretty active. I mean, there is certainly demand out there, and there are a bunch of people that have been sort of um, had their interest sparked again because of the M5, and having something that can do has a lot of the functionality but is less expensive is appealing. So, if nothing else, we'll end up with a lot more users.
yeah, I'm going to move through some of these because we've gone close to an hour, although this is a packed full a lot of stuff. Will you talk a little bit about the training event, Eric? Because you had, we're going to skip the patents tonight, Dave. We're off the hook on patents. That's, I know, your favorite section. I might include that link anyways in the show notes if I can fit it in.
Just for that, I'll bring it up on In Touch with iOS.
It is an interesting patent, though. It's about
Mhm.
the headband, essentially.
All right. All
Um,
right.
Yeah. Okay. So, developer training event. Eric, you were following that, and I've heard a little chatter about that. I think it was on Six Colors. They talked a little bit about it. Why don't you give us the lowdown on that?
Yeah, it was actually pretty interesting. So they did 2 days of training where they were going through uh, examples of production. So, if you want to get into producing video for the Vision Pro, what's involved? What are the cameras like? What's the software like? If you're filming it, what things to consider? How far away? What what cameras are options? How to you know what is the difference between traditional movie photography or traditional still photography and immersive photography? How to film content without having all of your viewers lose their lunch? Um, so lots, and there's a remote option for viewing this, as well as there were people who went in person. The people who had made it there in person could actually get time with cameras to kind of experience things, as well as to talk to engineers and talk to Apple people about kind of setup and environment. I believe you still can access the material on YouTube, so you can kind of see it. I found it interesting because there was more to think about than I had originally as- um, assumed, I guess, uh, when you're producing content. And some of the explanation of why content isn't coming out as fast as people want it to was also covered. There's some software isn't out yet for managing it. Some stuff is still in progress. Um, there certainly is a delay in learning the techniques. How do you do titling? How do you combine clips? What do you do if you've got a clip in, of one subject, and then you've got another subject, another chapter? How do you cut from one to the other? Because just a quick, fast cut doesn't work in immersive, so you might have to fade to black and come back. They also went and looked at a bunch of the Apple immersive videos, and then gave background information about kind of some of the setup or things that you might not have seen. For example, in the shark video, um, they were showing a woman on a boat, and then they said, "Hey, when you go back and rewatch it, look behind her um, in the water, and you can see a big shark, swimming
Mhm.
right behind her before she's getting ready to get in the water." So they said one of the things with the immersive video is um, sometimes pulling back a little bit so you get context of whatever it is you're trying to show. The still photographer, one third, one third, one third, that doesn't always work in immersive. Sometimes you need to adjust that a little bit because you get extra context because of the positioning, because of the depth. You can tell a little bit different story, and the kind of traditional ways of doing everything. The third, third, third doesn't always apply. So I thought it was very informative, even just watching it, not thinking I was going to just produce the stuff right away. But it was also informative if you're just going to shoot some spatial video on your phone. Things like when you shoot spatial video with an iPhone, the two lenses are different. And I don't know if you've done anything where you take a spatial picture, and then when you go back to look at it later, if you press the spatialize button, it looks better.
Mhm.
And that's because it's adjusting for the fact that the two lenses are different. I also didn't realize that if you do a bunch of clips on the phone and you hold the phone one way and then you flip your phone upside down and do some clips, that then the editing software can get confused because it wants to use one eye as the primary, and you want the one, you want it to be able to figure out which is the lens that's got the higher resolution and use that as the primary, and then mark differentials from that lens. And if you have one clip done one way and another clip done the other way, that messes that up, and it gets much more complicated. And I also hadn't realized when you're filming with your phone, if you get too close, then that kind of magnifies the differences between the lenses, and that can make you uncomfortable as well. So backing up a little bit can give you a better effect, or you might have to tweak it a little bit in editing to sort of fix that. So yeah, it was really useful. More importantly, it was going over all of that information for people who are producing content, so that hopefully they will get it right and it will feel more comfortable. I remember we had one show where we were discussing video of a singer, and you were like right next to the singer, like almost uncomfortably close.
Concert
And
for
they
One, I think.
discussed, yeah, and they discussed that, and they discussed how to figure out, when do you have to back off. And they said that, one of the things is if people are doing a production and then everyone commenting on it or reviewing it would do it from looking at a computer screen versus looking at it in a Vision Pro, you get different answers on whether that's too close or not close enough. Because in just 2D video, you would be closer, but in the immersive, you need to back off a bit because it's too personal. So yeah, it was well worth looking at, and I think it will affect content moving forward. It might take 6 months for us to see it, but I suspect we'll get a lot more video that is more considered, more thought out.
Yeah, I did 2 trips in 2 days to the Apple Store, and I'm 45 minutes away from the Apple Store. So I wound up listening to a lot of other podcasts about it. And just in the chat room, Statler was mentioning, is anyone else shocked at the lack of content post the Blackmagic cameras being released? I thought it would be a deluge. Wasn't expecting good content, but I was expecting a bunch of it. Just feels like with this headset, it's always more coming, but it's just waiting on X. I listened to Six Colors, and Jason Snell spent a lot of time talking about going to that live event where they were teaching the classes. And although I don't think he was there the first day, he made it the second day, and then he spent more time on the show talking about interacting with other people at the event and learning about their use of it and what they were there to learn for it. But he said the big overriding thing that I learned was Apple was so far ahead in the Vision Pro that they were building the camera and they still didn't have the cameras to shoot the content for it. And once they were able to get the cameras to shoot the content for it, they still didn't have the software to edit it with until you had third parties developing the software. So it's the problem is they were too far ahead with the idea of spatial computing and spatial video, that they just didn't have all the support around it, and that's beginning to catch up. And the good thing about this video training piece that's out there is it will help people avoid screwing up in the process and make the process a lot smoother for them. So yeah, I take Stadler and Waldorf's comments to heart. Wish there was more stuff out there because the device is such a remarkable entertainment device. But that piece that Jason Snell talked about on Six Colors kind of put it in perspective for me. I was like, wow, That explains it, and it's also pretty cool. Let's just jump quickly to see if there's anything in terms of apps that you want to talk about. We have a few apps listed. Um, I mean, some of them are still, we found them connected through YouTube, or not YouTube, through Reddit,
Reddit.
and they weren't quite fully in the store yet, and weren't quite available for us to publicize as much. And maybe we'll go back to these if I can remember in the next couple of weeks. Coloring book, Color for Vision was one of them that you found, Eric, and was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
And
But it
that was
wasn't,
actually pretty entertaining.
yeah. So it looked like it was what you would imagine a color by number sort of thing happening. Am I right? Or you describe it?
Kind of, but it's not two dimensional. It's not just a coloring page. You get a coloring object. Um, and different degrees of complexity. But the example I was doing, you had um, a building structure with a brick walkway, and there's a tree, and the tree was up and out, and you could see the trees in front of the building, and you could select colors, and you could add color to the branch structure. You could color in some of the bricks in front of the building. You could color in parts of the building. um, so it was kind of neat, because some of the coloring pages, there's a certain amount of interpretation and getting the placement and everything there. It's unique to be able to kind of take something that's like a view of a scene and actually add color to it. So
Yeah.
it's a different way of looking at it. I found it nicely relaxing.
Yeah, I will keep the link in there and folks can chase that down. I'll tell you, there are a ton of coloring apps. None of them, to my knowledge, work with the Muse pen yet. So I'll have to look at that. Tubular Pro, um, it's a video and media viewing platform. I guess like Juno used to be, but it is a shell basically for YouTube. I was playing with it tonight, and once I got my YouTube connected to it, it was pretty cool, and was pretty effective, and I enjoyed that app. I think it was a $7 charge for it, if I'm not correct.
Hmm.
I have to check.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't remember.
I know Pickle Pro was $8. I used to play tennis, and I haven't been out on the court to play pickleball. But I
Hmm.
can imagine that I've got some pretty good moves if I ever get out to play it. And Pickle Pro. Did you find out about Tubular Pro at all, Eric? I saw you clicking on the link.
No, it says there's in-app purchases. So
Yeah,
my
there's
problem is I got it a while ago, so I
yeah.
don't remember.
Um, and then Pickle Pro is basically pickleball. Um, and the link is pretty impressive in terms of what it can do and what the. I will go on to that. It's $8. And I saw this last week, and it said you could use your hand if you didn't have controllers. But when I attempted to download it and set it up, it said you need to have controllers to use this. So it doesn't allow, I guess, doesn't allow you to use your hand as a device for it. So, or as an
I'm
interface for it.
I'm wondering if they got feedback on that it wasn't accurate enough.
Yeah. So they
Yeah,
said no.
it might be tough to stay accurate with your hand.
Yeah. Well, I also played a lot of handball besides tennis when I was younger. So, um, I, yeah, I get it. I understand it. But it's disappointing because that means for me to play this game, not only do I have to pay $8, but I have to lay down 250 to get the controllers, or at least the only controllers right now that work with Apple Vision. So there goes my history or there goes my future in pickleball. Um, and do you have anything about Vision 3D, Eric?
um, I wanted to.
What do you mean you
Um,
wanted to?
well, I downloaded it, I installed it, I played with it. There's enough complexity to it that, yeah, I kind of got something to show up. The first thing showed up, splattered a car and a helicopter all over my field of view, and I'm not sure why. And then I picked something else, and that was a little bit better. Um, there, there's more complexity than I expected, and my brain was not working well enough to deal with that complexity. So I'd have to go back and look. I mean, it was neat. Like it seemed to work. You get to put a scene up, and you get physics. Um, but I am not entirely sure I was using it according to how I was. It's like two two variants, one for interacting and one for viewing, maybe. And I was using one and expecting the other. Not really sure. So I can't really say anything yet because evidently I need a lot more time.
You can collaborate with friends to share play to bring your imagination to life with intuitive gestures and powerful tools with paintbrushes, erasers, shape. And I guess they have a pro version that you have to pay $8 for in order
And
for
I
this thing to work.
I paid money and it didn't help me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, collaborating with others that unless the other person could do everything and I just sit watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's their favorite app overall?
This is coming through the chat.
Hmm.
I would say Statler and Waldorf asked, "What's your favorite app overall?" I would go with In Space, or I would go with some of the 3D modeling, where like puzzles that you put together that are actually 3D puzzles of
Mm.
objects that are out there. That would be my two favorites. You guys have any?
Hmm.
I think a combination of Infuse for video playback and what is it called?
Moon,
Moon
yeah,
Player.
yeah, Moon Player.
And I use Infuse to pull video off of a house server and move it onto the device, and then Moon Player, if it's not 3D, it converts on the fly. So those are kind of cool.
Yeah,
I'll go with
And that,
space too.
yeah.
you would go within space.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
it was
I
really
think
cool.
it is. I think it's one of the better social networks, obviously on Vision Pro,
Yep.
but in general, it's a positive community. It's topical. People set up rooms with different, let's talk about this movie or let's talk about that. And very social, and everybody's excited and everybody's very polite. Not like my experience on Meta when a 11-year-old kid is dressing me down. Uh, you old fart, you don't know what you're doing. Um, anyway, let's call it a wrap for tonight.
Yeah, it's a
We've
good
had
show.
we've had an active chat room. Statler and
Yeah.
Waldorf.
Yeah, you're great,
Uh,
Statler. Thanks for
yeah,
being here.
yeah, and Craig has been in there, and Larry. Matt has been in. Thank you for sending us a link to play with some of that stuff. It's been a nice active chat room, and you've
Yeah.
kind of fed us some good things to talk about. and also, kept us on topic with that too.
Yeah.
So, just a reminder, you can follow the live stream on YouTube at youtube.com/@visionprofiles. Join us and join the chat room Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, or catch the video later on YouTube or the audio on any of your podcatcher services. Look for Vision Pro Notes as I can get them out. We try to get them out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings for some of the news to keep you up to date before we get to our Monday night show. And let's check in. We'll start with Dave Ginsburg. Where can we find you?
Yeah, thanks, Marty. Always appreciative to be here. You could find me at In Touch with iOS, intouchwithios.com. YouTube channel is youtube.com/intouchwithios. I am here on Monday nights with you fellers. Tuesday nights I'm on Mac Voices Live with you fellers and others with Chuck Joyner. That's a great show. It's Chuck. Thursday nights we record In Touch with iOS at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Although this week we'll be recording on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, just because of a vacation coming up. So check us out then. And then you can find me on Mastodon and Blue Sky at DaveG65.
Yeah, Dave, it's always a pleasure to have you here because you always bring just
Thanks.
a full sort of Mac environment understanding to what's going on with Vision Pro, and also an enterprise approach to it too, which is great.
Thanks.
Eric, what about you?
I can be found on Mastodon at eabolden at mas.to. Otherwise, of course, Monday nights for Vision OS here. Tuesdays for Mac OS on Mac Voices, and Thursdays for kind of a wrap up of the week in iOS and In Touch with iOS.
And me, many of the same places these gents have already mentioned. Here on Monday nights, of course, Vision Profiles. Tuesdays with Chuck Joyner and these gentlemen on Mac Voices. And Thursday with Dave on In Touch with iOS. Occasionally Friday mornings with the British Tech Network. You can find me, Gensius, at mastodon.social or Gensius on Threads, or Gensius on, what's the other one? Blue Sky. JENCIUS, my last name, to kind of catch all of those. And you can find about the other projects I'm doing and other podcasts that I'm doing at the website, thepodtalk.net. If you like, you can email us at thepodtalknetwork@gmail.com if you have ideas, suggestions, questions, or even if you'd like to say, hey, I'd like to take a shot at being on a show. We'll work that out. So thanks for tuning in. We'd love to hear from our listeners and ideas, so please get in touch with us. And our bumper music is Free Jazzy by Steve Combs, courtesy of the Free Music Archive. Learn more about us and Vision Profiles and other podcasts that we do on the podtalk.net. Spread the word to other visionaries. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.